when Brenda screamed, "Common property at my $2 million Marina gate." She had no idea a retired Coast Guard engineer was about to turn her own HOA rules into her personal nightmare. For 2 years, her Wines and Wines book club had hijacked my private dock every Thursday, 12 Karens in sun hats blocking my boat, spilling rose on tick decks, leaving lipstick cups and diesel-soaked trash until 2 a.m. every Friday morning hit me with a hangover I never earned. So I installed a steel gate. The metallic clang when it locked. Pure justice. Brenda threatened lawsuits, called her city councilman husband Roy, and shrieked about community waterfront access. I smiled, pulled out 3 years of time-stamped evidence, and watched her confidence drain like bad wine. What she didn't know? I'd been documenting everything, and her HOA empire was about to implode. Let me back up. 3 years earlier, I inherited waterfront property in Millfield Cove, Connecticut from Uncle Frank, a crusty Coast Guard engineer who preferred rebuilding engines to dealing with humans. Smart man, the inheritance came with 2 separate deeds, the main house, and a 6-lip Marina Frank built in 1987 with proper permits, environmental sign-offs, and $20,000 in materials. This wasn't DIY Frank designed floating docks for the Coast Guard for 30 years. Always check inherited parcels. Separate deeds mean separate rights. HOA power stops at the property line. For peaceful months, the Marina was my sanctuary. Frank's old Boston Whaler sat in slip 3, covered in seagull droppings and nostalgia. The smell of creosote and salt took me back to my service days. Then Brenda Kessler arrived. Picture a woman who alphabetizes her spices and irons her yoga pants. HOA, chair, real estate agent, married to a politician who remembers your wallet size, not your name. One Thursday, she led 12 SUVs to my Marina like an entitled wagon train. Designer athleisure, cases of Chardonnay, clinking glassware against my custom tick railings. "Oh, hi," she chirped. "Just using the community marina for book club." "This is private property," I said. "My uncle built it on his land." Her smile froze, replaced by shark-like calculation. "Well, there's obviously confusion. Waterfront amenities are for everyone. I'll research the paperwork." Her research came from Roy, who conveniently found a covenant claiming shared access to recreational waterfront facilities. Never mind, the marina existed a decade before the HOA was incorporated. Here's where the entitlement mutated into fraud. Brenda started charging her book club members $50 each for marina access fees. She was profiting off my dock, on my land, while telling me I couldn't use it. Every Thursday became hell. Wind-drunk book club members blocked my slips, dragged my chairs around, and blasted music until midnight. When I asked them to clean up, Brenda patted my arm like I was a confused golden retriever. "Marcus, don't be antisocial. Community spirit makes Millfield special." Community spirit. "Lady, you're running an unlicensed commercial operation on my dock." The breaking point came when security footage caught one of her wine-soaked friends trying to steal my uncle's restored Whaler, fumbling with the ignition like it was a carnival ride. The next day, I installed a $12,000 steel gate with electronic locks and enough cameras to rival the Pentagon. Brenda's face when it clanged shut was priceless. But instead of backing down, she escalated. She filed an HOA complaint accusing me of antisocial behavior, detrimental to community harmony, then scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss my unauthorized gate. She presented a PowerPoint titled "Preserving Community Values," complete with dramatic red arrows pointing at my lock like it was a bomb. I responded with Frank's original 1987 permits, environmental studies, and the deed for Lot 47B, all showing the marina was never under HOA jurisdiction. Dead silence. Board member Tom finally asked, "So, the marina was never HOA property?" "Never," I said. "My uncle negotiated its exclusion in writing." Brenda's face cycled through confusion, denial, then pure panic, but she didn't stop. 2 days later, a city inspector, Dave Kruger, arrived for a surprise safety inspection. He took photos of perfectly normal equipment while muttering invented violations. His final report listed 17 imaginary safety issues and recommended municipal oversight of the marina. Translation. Roy wanted control of my dock through city authority. My FOIA request revealed Dave wasn't random. He was Roy's former business partner in a construction company that collapsed under debt. They were trying to seize my property using corrupt government leverage. I hired Coastal Marine Engineering for an independent audit. Dr. Sarah Hugo spent hours testing bolts and cables. "Your uncle was a genius," she said. "This marina exceeds current codes. Whoever called it unsafe is either incompetent or lying." Her report dismantled every fabricated violation. Then the anonymous packages started. The first contained old HOA minutes discussing a multi-phase acquisition strategy for premium waterfront assets. Someone had highlighted plans to target properties with unclear ownership. Transitions. Signed, Eleanor F., the quiet elderly woman from the HOA meeting. The second package held bank records showing Brenda's real estate company collected $47,000 in marina access fees. She'd been selling access to my dock to homebuyers. Then came petitions, protests, and a Channel 8 news segment painting me as an uncooperative veteran rejecting community values. Brenda stood on the public beach, gesturing dramatically at my gate like she was testifying before Congress. The audacity made my coffee taste like battery acid. Then she filed a complaint with the state environmental department, claiming I'd illegally expanded the dock. Inspector Janet Morrison measured everything and immediately called out the lie. "False environmental reporting is a criminal offense," she warned. Brenda had signed the complaint herself. Roy retaliated by triggering a property tax reassessment. My bill jumped from $12,000 to $42,000 overnight. Then came the midnight threats. "Sell the marina or face consequences." My cameras captured everything. That's when Eleanor, my secret weapon, revealed the full scope of the Kesslers' corruption. Her basement archives documented decades of HOA decisions, including the destruction of the Henderson family, who'd been forced to sell after manufactured violations and skyrocketing taxes. Eleanor had also discovered something explosive. Roy and Brenda were drowning financially, over $127,000 in debt. Ethics investigations. Brenda's real estate license under review. She'd made over $200,000 selling homes by falsely promising marina access. But the ultimate bombshell. Eleanor found the original 1985 HOA incorporation documents, thought lost in a municipal fire. Right there in typewriter ink, Lot 47B marina facilities shall remain private property in perpetuity, exempt from all association jurisdiction. Then she slid across a handwritten letter in Brenda's own script. From 1987, the Frank Hugo Marina exemption is properly recorded and legally binding. Brenda had known the marina was private property for 36 years. Every violation, every threat, every community access claim, deliberate fraud. Eleanor and I formed an unlikely war council. I contacted the Hendersons. They agreed to testify. Several defrauded military families came forward, including a Navy veteran who'd paid $20,000 extra because Brenda promised boat slip access. My attorney, Rebecca Walsh, nearly vibrated with excitement as she reviewed the evidence. "This is federal gold," she said. "Municipal corruption, real estate fraud, VA loan, mortgage fraud, false reporting, civil rights violations, targeting veterans and elderly homeowners." Forensic accountants traced money through Roy and Brenda's accounts, revealing a systematic property theft scheme hidden behind city authority. Federal investigators were already interested in waterfront corruption patterns. Our case filled in the missing puzzle piece. The Kesslers had no idea how deep a hole they dug or how many agencies were about to bury them in it. The corruption pattern became impossible to ignore once the spreadsheets were laid out: manufactured violations, forced distress sales, quick flips by connected buyers. Then the cycle repeated until a federal spotlight appeared. Roy's construction company had quietly purchased 4 waterfront properties after identical violation and seizure sequences. The profits funded the Kesslers' lifestyle, while honest businesses collapsed. And that was when Eleanor Fairbanks stepped in. Eleanor organized our community response with the efficiency of a librarian trained for covert military logistics. Her network of intimidated neighbors finally found the courage to speak. Mrs. Patterson photographed Roy's inspectors staging violations at the Henderson house. Mr. Kowalski recorded Brenda threatening his elderly mother with code harassment. Evidence multiplied security footage, audio recordings, and years of identical patterns of manufactured emergencies and coordinated intimidation. Our secret weapon was the public town hall Eleanor had maneuvered into existence. She convinced the municipal clerk to require all HOA business to be conducted in open session with mandatory media access and official recording. The Kesslers had no idea they were walking into a federal sting. Even better, Eleanor's research found a Connecticut statute that made filing false government reports a felony for public officials' automatic removal from office, regardless of federal charges. Dave Roy's favorite inspector had perjured himself in multiple filings. The domino effect would implicate everyone involved. Federal agents would attend the town hall as observers. All we needed was Brenda and Roy to incriminate themselves on camera, which, knowing them, was guaranteed. Process servers would be waiting at the exits. Brenda's desperation peaked days before the town hall. She launched a smear campaign claiming I was a dangerous PTSD-ridden veteran dishonorably discharged for violence. 30 years of Coast Guard service reduced to a malicious rumor because I refused to let her steal my Marina. But military records don't lie. My file showed honorable discharge, multiple commendations, and clean psychological evaluations. I scheduled a voluntary evaluation with Dr. Patricia Reynolds just to crush the lies entirely. Exceptional stress management, she concluded. No evidence of PTSD or anger disorders. Her report shredded Brenda's smear campaign. Roy escalated to using political connections to fast-track eminent domain proceedings, claiming my Marina was critical emergency infrastructure. The claim was absurd. Millfield Cove already had multiple public launches and a Coast Guard auxiliary station. My attorney filed an injunction while federal prosecutors flagged Roy's abuse of municipal power. Then came the business offer. A shell company, Atlantic Coastal Development, tried to buy my Marina for $500,000 3 days after being incorporated with Roy listed as a consulting advisor. The deal required granting Brenda perpetual community access. It was a money laundering attempt dressed up as a real estate purchase. The harassment escalated. Anonymous flyers accused me of hating children and planning massive development. Fake social media accounts spread conspiracies about military surveillance. Digital forensics tied the accounts to Roy's City Hall office and Brenda's real estate computers. My security cameras even caught Brenda sneaking around at 3 a.m., handing out defamatory flyers like a cartoon criminal in sunglasses and a hoodie. Their biggest mistake came when Roy used his city council credentials to access military databases fishing for dirt. My Coast Guard contacts flagged the suspicious inquiry. FBI agent Jennifer Torres called me immediately. Municipal officials intimidating veterans crosses into federal territory, she explained. Suddenly, the Kesslers' petty corruption had triggered federal attention. Phone records showed systematic witness tampering across multiple city officials. Eleanor's neighborhood network grew into a full revolt. Residents who had been silent for years came forward. Documents showed identical harassment strategies stretching back a decade. Roy attempted one last trick-hand emergency city council session with only 12 hours' notice to vote to seize my Marina. But the community, alerted by Eleanor, flooded the meeting. The illegal resolution collapsed in full view of journalists. Brenda responded with drama staging a spectacular fake fall at my Marina. She positioned herself by a dock cleat, checked for witnesses, then performed a choreographed tumble worthy of community theater Shakespeare. My cameras caught everything in crystal clear 4K. Paramedic Sandra Lopez quickly noted the lack of swelling, discoloration, or actual injury. Brenda refused hospital transport, classic scam behavior. By noon, she filed a $50,000 injury lawsuit. The insurance investigator arrived, watched the footage, and laughed. 20 years in fraud investigations, he said, and this is the most obvious fake I've ever seen. He forwarded charges for felony insurance fraud. As the investigation unfolded, forensic accountant David Kim uncovered the Kesslers' biggest mistake. Brenda had attempted to bribe investigator Mike Hugo with $10,000 cash to ignore evidence. Hugo recorded the conversation. With that, the FBI officially took over. Their municipal corruption case became a federal racketeering case. Thursday came, the trap was set. The Millfield Community Center overflowed. 3 news crews lined the walls. FBI agent Torres sat calmly in the back, her badge tucked away but ready. Process servers lingered near the exits. Brenda strutted in wearing a blazer, camera-ready makeup, and the same fraudulent walking cane. Roy walked around like a conquering hero, shaking hands, oblivious his political career was about to implode. Eleanor sat at the front like a general preparing a surgical strike. I open the meeting with military precision. Tonight, you'll see documentation of a criminal enterprise that weaponized municipal authority to steal waterfront property from veteran families. I displayed Uncle Frank's original 1987 Marina permits. Then came the bombshell: Brenda's own handwriting from 1987 explicitly acknowledging the Marina as private property outside HOA jurisdiction. Her fabricated community ownership claims evaporated on screen. Next came the financial evidence. She'd illegally earned over $200,000 selling Marina access she never owned, mostly to military families. When Navy veteran Sarah Martinez stood up crying, explaining Brenda had stolen her children's college fund through those lies, the room turned electric with anger. Then came Roy manufactured violations, bribery shell companies, fraudulent emergencies, and phone records showing direct coordinated harassment. The final nail was the video of Brenda's staged fall. The crowd burst into laughter as her theatrical tumble played in slow motion. Even FBI agent Torres cracked a smile. I announced yesterday Mrs. Kessler attempted to bribe a federal insurance investigator with $10,000. Torres stood, badge flashing. That was when color drained from the Kesslers' faces. Eleanor spoke next.com and Lethal. 3 waterfront families have provided identical harassment documentation. Federal charges include conspiracy, fraud, racketeering, and systematic targeting of veteran households. The process servers stepped forward. Brenda Kessler and Roy Kessler, consider yourselves served. The room erupted with applause. Cameras flashed, handcuffs clicked. Brenda sobbed as mascara streaked down her cheeks. Roy stood stiff as stone, his political career dying in real time. I closed with one line: "Ladies and gentlemen, my Marina is private property." But justice belongs to everyone. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. 6 months later, justice arrived with surgical precision. Brenda pled guilty to conspiracy, fraud, and attempted bribery, 18 months in federal prison, and $450,000 in restitution. The irony of her making license plates instead of real estate deals delighted her victims. Roy received 36 months for racketeering, conspiracy, and abuse of public office. His resignation letter was a single sentence. His construction shell game collapsed when forensic accountants traced stolen property profits. Civil settlements exceeded $750,000, the largest municipal corruption recovery in Connecticut history. Sarah Martinez and her family received full restitution plus damages. The Hendersons were compensated for their stolen retirement. My Marina remained exactly as Uncle Frank intended. Eleanor became a regional hero. She founded the Millfield Property Rights Defense Fund, teaching homeowners how documentation can crush institutional corruption. Law schools now study her methods. The community transformed. Transparency reforms replaced secrecy. Property values rose. Fear gave way to confidence. Using settlement money, I created the Marina Community Foundation, hosting monthly therapeutic fishing programs for veterans. Instead of harassment, the Marina now echoes with laughter, misty mornings, and peace. Our case became legal precedent. Millfield Doctrine, protecting homeowners nationwide from municipal harassment targeting veterans and the elderly. Every sunrise over my Marina is a reminder. Documentation defeats corruption. Truth outlasts intimidation, and ordinary citizens can topple criminal enterprises posing as government authority.